have not posted on this channel since last year, 2018, I think in March, and a lot has happened. And I don't know, there was a time in my life when this like YouTube channel was so exciting, and I felt like I had, you know, made such enormous strides in my mental health, and I felt like I was really on the road to like healing and even recovery. And so I made this channel as like part of that, because I don't know, it just felt like part of my like healing process, and I felt like I was, you know, getting like learning so much through therapy and just like life transitions, and you know, I wanted to like share the nuggets of wisdom that I got with like other people, because I think I've said this in other videos, like when I first developed DPDR, I turned to YouTube because I was just trying to figure out what the fuck was happening and if I wasn't alone and how I could like fix it, you know what I mean? So yeah, I mean, that's why I started this channel. I guess I thought, you know, that I was finally in a place where I could be more of like I guess almost like a guide, kind of like, okay, I've been here, I've like, this isn't my first rodeo, let me share with you what I've learned. And I think in terms of like DPDR, that is still probably true, but it's just like weird looking back now, because it's just like, oh, you poor soul, you had no idea what was about to happen. I moved across the country last July, and it was a major life transition. It was a huge stressor, and as I'm sure many of you know, when things like that happen, you're at higher risk of having mental health stuff occur. That happened to me, and it was unlike anything I ever experienced. I moved across the country, like 3,000 miles from home. I drove out here with my boyfriend, and it's because he's getting a PhD out here, so I came with him. And I thought I was just having panic attacks at first, because they were massive. They were awful. And I kept saying over and over again, like, I feel like I'm at the top of a roller coaster and I'm about to fall out. And I didn't really know like what that meant, but that's just how I felt. That was the best way to describe it. Anyway, so fast forward like to now, which is mid to late May of 2019, after seeing 3 different mental health professionals. The first one, like, it just wasn't really like a good fit. She didn't really seem to understand like what I was going through, and I tried to like talk it out with her, but she was a little bit resistant and felt criticized, I think, and she kind of like it was weird. It was just a bizarre dynamic, and then I was like, bye, and she was like, okay. And then the second one just wanted to call everybody I've ever met a narcissist, and like asked me if I really love my boyfriend, and I was like, this doesn't seem to be what I need right now. Like, what? And so I left. And she was like gonna do hypnosis, and it was just like, this is weird. This is too weird. And then finally, like, things got so bad, like I wasn't even working, and it was just really rough. And I was like, I need something else, and I almost was gonna do like a partial hospitalization, which I've never done before. And I mean, I think it's, you know, I kind of wish I had done it like in the past, whether this past, you know, fallout or in the other past times that I've had kind of breakdowns. In some way, I think I really would have benefited from it, but I decided not to, and instead I was just like, you know what, like, I had just been through so many therapists, and I have like, not a ton, just really 2 experiences with therapists that were just messed up. Like, one of them in college, like, kind of, now that I like look back on it, and I was like 19, like, it almost felt like he was like grooming me, like, you know what I mean? Like, it kind of felt like he was like hitting on me. It was just weird. So that was kind of weird, and I just all the things that have happened, I feel disenchanted with therapy right now. And I'm like, I can get a workbook. I don't know, like, it's not really helping. And so I was like, you know what, I kind of have to bite the bullet and fucking, I need to go on meds. Like, I tried meds once, and I had a really bad reaction to it after just like 1 dose, and I was like, I can't fucking do this ever again. And so I tried really hard to just manage without it, but this time I couldn't anymore. Like, I just couldn't. I was like, fuck it. Everyone was like, you know, hey, I'm on antidepressants, like I've been on antidepressants, it's not that big of a deal. There's a really good song from the show Crazy Ex-Girlfriend called Antidepressants Are Not That Big of a Deal or whatever. It's really funny. I was like, okay, I'm just gonna do it. And so I went to my psychiatrist, she's awesome, and she prescribed me the lowest dose of Prozac cut in half, because she was like, I can tell you're really sensitive to medication, which I was really grateful for and is true. I think, especially like with my experience with weed, I think that's kind of evident that like, yeah, I don't react well to drugs. She gave it to me and I took it for 3 weeks, and honestly, like I felt great. Like it felt fine. It felt awesome. My anxiety lessened significantly, and I was like, I just had more energy and I had more focus, and then I had too much energy and I no longer had focus, and I started to feel really distracted, and I was driving and I like couldn't focus, and then everything felt really, really bright and the colors were too vibrant, and I wanted to like rip my skin off. And a stranger was talking about politics that I disagreed with, the post office, and I like wanted to just start screaming at him, which like, I mean, like I get it, you know, but it was so out of character for me, and it scared me. And then like my whole body was just like ice cold. Adrenaline was like rushing through my veins, and I was like, okay, there is something wrong with me. And I was like, I think I might be manic. And I like called my mom, and I'm like talking like a million miles a minute, and I'm like, Mom, I don't know what's wrong with me. Like I think I might be having a manic episode. I think the Prozac fucked me up. Like I don't know what to do. Should I go to the hospital? And she was like, okay, go home, like leave work, go home, call your psychiatrist and figure out what's going on. You don't know what's going on, but like I did. And I was right. The psychiatrist was like, she said that I had been pushed into a mild manic episode, and so I needed to come off of Prozac immediately. And she said like, what we do in this case is like you go on a mood stabilizer. And so she made an emergency appointment with me like a few days later, the next week or something, and we like sat down and she talked, and I told her what had happened more in detail, and she was like, so based on that, it sounds like you have a type of bipolar disorder. And I was like, okay, that makes so much sense. Like it was weird, and it's really bizarre, and it's strange, and it's also really confounding to me that like it took me until age 25 to figure that out, but apparently that's pretty common, and it's like the average time between like showing symptoms and getting diagnosed is like 6 to 8 years, and for me it was 7 years. Because when I look back at the last 7 years of my life, I see it. Like I see the winters where I'm deeply, deeply depressed, and then the springs into summer where I just am exuberant and I have so much energy and focus and inspiration and creativity. If you look at this channel, all of my videos are between the months of March and July, and yeah, that's like my manic season. It's been bizarre and kind of life-changing, and I just wanted to put that out here on this channel to say like that's where I'm at. And right now I'm really like reckoning with that and realizing like I'm gonna have to be on meds for the rest of my life basically, because unmedicated and untreated bipolar disorder is progressive. And so actually like it can, you know, the manias get more intense, and as manias increase in intensity, you can become psychotic, like you can develop psychosis, which, as I'm sure if you are subscribed to this channel and watching this and have DPDR, you know, that's a huge fear. That's like the biggest fear, right? So I'm kind of like, all right, like this is weird, but I will say that I think that the meds are working. I've been on them for, I think, 3 weeks as of today. So I think they're good, but I also thought Prozac was good. So we'll see where I'm at. I'm not up to my highest dose yet. I'm gonna be up to my highest dose next week. And so far things are feeling a lot better. I'm sleeping well. For the most part, I'm sleeping well. I don't feel, I feel so like there's so much more space in my brain to think. It's like somebody turned off like a radio or like static. I've been able to read books, which like I've always liked to read, but I like couldn't because I just couldn't focus. And I was diagnosed with ADHD, so I always thought it was just ADHD, but now I'm like, I don't know, like I have no idea. It's just so weird. And yeah, so I feel a lot better. I feel a lot more even for the most part. I feel just so, like, I feel hyper focused all the time. I don't know, it's weird. And my anxiety is mostly better. In fact, like, I mean, a big thing that I was dealing with, so just like in short, when I moved here, what I now understand is I was in a mixed state where I was manic and depressed at the same time. And so I like became almost obsessive compulsive. Actually, the first therapist I went to, I saw because I thought that I had OCD, and I was like, well, that makes sense. Like, the whole thing with DPDR is kind of obsessive compulsive. Like, it must have just been that I've been, you know, dealing with OCD my whole life, like, you know, for a long time. And this is just an episode that's particularly intense. Then actually I looked up like episodic OCD, and apparently that's something that really only happens in people that have bipolar disorder. So I even saw that at the time, and I was like, maybe I'm bipolar, but I was like, no, because I had asked therapists in the past and they said no. And so that's another reason why I just kind of feel like a loss of faith or like disillusionment with therapists right now, because this one that I had so much faith in, that really like even inspired, like so much of what I've put out on this channel comes from my sessions with her and her wisdom and perspective. And it's been really, really difficult to know that there were 2 years in the spring when I felt like really like up. And I even asked her, I was like, I think I might be hypomanic right now. Like, you know, because I'm familiar with mental health and I've always been interested in it since I was like 10 years old. And so I'm like familiar with that. And I asked her, like, I think I'm like hypomanic right now. Like, I don't know. And she just said, no, like, you don't seem it to me. Like, you just seem like you're happy and like doing well. And I'm like, yeah, well, like a month ago I wanted to die. So what the fuck? And so it just, it sucks to me. Like, it's been really difficult. Like getting this diagnosis and then reckoning with like just the state of mental health care in America, and who could I have been and what could I have been doing if this had just been figured out when I was like 19, or even just like 22 instead of now that I'm 25. And I don't know, man, but I can't really dwell there. It's like not worth it. But yeah, so anyway, I have been watching a lot of YouTube, and I really, really love just like listening to people talk about their stories and their lives, and you know, their experiences with anything and everything, but like especially mental health, and just like even vlogs. Like, I fucking love vlogs. So I'm thinking that like maybe I'll make this channel into something a little bit more personal rather than like, let me help you heal, because the truth is I don't fucking know anymore. I felt like I had answers, and now I'm just like, I don't know anything. Nobody knows anything. Like, let's just, you know, share what we've got and talk about it, and maybe there'll be wisdom that comes out of it organically. I don't know. So this channel may become active again, but it's not going to necessarily be focused solely on DPDR and healing from it, but just like life, mental health, living, adjusting to adulthood, and figuring out your shit. Yeah, okay. So if you have any interest in like me making more videos about my experience, like, you know, with like the mixed state that I was in, or more about getting the diagnosis, or weird experiences with therapists or whatever, let me know. And if you have experience with bipolar 1 or 2, or not otherwise specified, I don't really know what my formal diagnosis is. I think it's bipolar 2. Then let me know. And yeah, let me know anything. I don't know if anyone will even watch this, but thank you for watching if you did, and thank you for subscribing. Yeah, okay, I hope that you're well. Take care.